All right, guys, here we go. Welcome to the first episode of the HPR Chronicles.
Yes, sir.
With Shakur and Smith, and HPR stands for History, Politics, and Race, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. This is our first episode, and the reason why, first of all, let me say this. The reason why we decided to do this is because Chris and myself, we always get into deep political and historical debates
Yep.
with he and our friends here in wine country. And it was actually Chris's idea. We were having a big debate one day at one of the speakeasies, and Chris goes, "This needs to be a podcast." You know what I'm saying? And because I already do a podcast, some of you may know me from Romantic Propaganda with Devon, the author. So I said, you know what, Crispy? Joe Button, a lot of other entertainers I know, they have two podcasts. Okay. So why can't I have a podcast? Two podcasts, I mean. So I asked Crispy to join in, Chris Smith, a.k.a. Crispy, to join in. And he said, yeah, I guess he's always been passionate about the same subjects, you know what I mean, when we're out and about. So anyway, with that said, we're jumping it off. This is the HPR Chronicles with Shakur and Smith. And it's a podcast about history, politics, and race from a pop culture's perspective. We're going to be raw, we're going to curse, we're going to have fun, and these are important subject matters and topics, and the information is going to be correct and concise, but it's going to be in a fun way.
Yes, and it's important for everyone to know and to...
Absolutely.
This is, important information that we will be sharing. So
yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
So some of you already know, but I'm a movie director. Hold on. It's too much? It's too loud, Kia? Oh, my bad. So let me back up then a little bit. Okay. Sorry about that. Our camera guy said I was too loud. This is better?
Yeah, I even agree. That's why I was like,
Oh, okay, cool. Is it better? Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so I'm film director Imani Shakur. A lot of you guys know me already and stuff like that. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I travel a lot, and I've always had a love for history and politics. And Chris can introduce himself and tell you guys a little bit about him.
In the Army Reserves, and then while there, started working at the VA hospital, and I've been there for 20-some years. So I'm a government employee, so I have that understanding, and all of this information that we will be sharing or topics we're hitting, I think involves me or affects me. So
there you have it. And Chris has a passion and love for history and politics as well, like I said. So our first episode, guys, is going to be the Electoral College and how Donald Trump won the presidency based on an old system that was created out of slavery. That's what the first topic is going to be. And Chris, I kind of think it's actually fitting because of, it's election season.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everyone's trying to get Trump out of office. Yeah. This, that, and the other. We have all these Democrats that's running and stuff now. So I think this is a good time to kind of explain to you guys what the Electoral College is, how it was created, when, how it affects us today, how Trump won, and how it's going to affect us in the future. You know what I mean? So let me jump it off. And what I'll do is just say my piece, Chris, and you can interject when you want. But I'm going to explain what I'm going to explain.
Okay.
Then I'm going to shoot it to you and see if you want to add anything or anything like that. These are both topics that we kind of both looked up. So first of all, let's talk about what the Electoral College is. And what it is it's a group of electors that represent each state that's allowed to vote for the president. You know what I mean? That's all it is. It was created by James Madison back in 1787. And what happened was he didn't want the southern states to have influence on elections based on their amount of slaves. You know what I'm saying? All right, guys, follow me closely here. You know what I mean? Congress allocated representatives based on the whole number of free people and 3 out of 5 slaves instead of all slaves.
Wait, I kind of want to change one part of what you're saying. So if the stuff I'm reading or read, and it said that it was established to counteract the North, who had the highest population, from being able to just almost automatically elect the president.
You mean the South?
No, the North. The North had a higher population than the South. Okay, initially, and I'm not talking about slaves. Just
okay.
So you gotta get the history.
I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that. Yeah. No, exactly.
Because that kind of leads to the part you're about to bring up. I think you know what I'm saying. Like, if you start at the base of what it is, and they realize who would have the power.
Yeah. And that's one thing I like about Crispy. He always has a different side, and so which is going to make for a great podcast. And you guys will get why he said what he just said, and I'm going to explain it further, and we're both going to talk about it further. But it's deep. Mm-hmm. So anyway, back to what I just said. Congress allocated representatives based on the whole number of free people, but in the South, they allowed them a count of 3 for every 5 slaves. Okay, and I'm going to get into this deep. I want you guys to really understand what happened here. Slaves couldn't vote, so if they didn't count, slaves didn't vote. So if they didn't count the slaves, those slave states would be at a disadvantage.
They would have less power to vote because there was less people.
Because there was less people. Right. So keep in mind, before when James Madison first said this, and Chris, speak up too.
Yeah.
Don't speak so long. Speak up.
Oh, okay.
So keep in mind, when James Madison first said this, guys, he said it should be based on the popular vote. That's what he said, not no Electoral College. But then when they thought about the slaves was when they said, whoa. But in the South, if you add their slaves and they let their slaves vote, they have a lot, they outnumber us. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and I actually had the number, and I actually should have written it down. So they said, okay, we're gonna do it based on population, but you can't count all your slaves. You know what I'm saying? Your slaves, you get 3 out of 5, and I'm gonna explain further.
Okay. All right.
The North didn't want the slaves to count because they would lose based on a popular vote system, right? Mm-hmm. So if it just went the way it should be today without the Electoral College back then doing slavery,
okay.
If they counted all of the slaves and all that, and they did it on a popular vote, the South would always win because they would be outnumbered. They would outnumber the North just by the popular vote if they allowed all the slaves to count. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of tricky. You know what I mean? So okay, so let me keep going.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me keep going. So to be clear, for every 5 slaves, you get 3 counted. So if it was 5 slaves standing up there, they said, okay, that's 3. Yeah. Another 5, that's 3. It was actually called the 3 to 5 compromise. You know what I'm saying? They actually had a term for the whole thing. And before I go into the next section, I'm gonna let Crispy chime in.
So our history, our versions are a little different in saying that yes, the James Madison established it, and his thing was because if you count slaves for 3/5, 3/5 of how was it? Slaves were black people were 3/5 basically. You weren't a full person because, like you just said, every 3 to 5 was
right.
counted
For every 5, they would count 3.
So a slave master has all these people, or really it was just the population that they wanted to boost so that they can have the power for the electoral votes or electoral number. By having a higher the population, the more electoral representatives they get.
Right. They would actually allot.
Correct.
For that for that state.
And because the population up north was higher, their numbers were already
higher without counting
any slaves. So it's not that the slaves voted; it was just for population to create their number, so their number was higher.
Right, and I didn't say the slaves voted, by the way.
Yeah. You kind of did.
No, I didn't. No. What I said was, in the South, the slaves couldn't vote, but the slave master still wanted their slaves to count. So the North said they can count, but not all of them. I'm gonna.
I got you.
Yeah,
we're saying okay.
Yeah, because I knew they couldn't vote. No, I didn't say that at all.
Right.
So okay, so if you flip today, right? There's 538 electors exist, and an elector is a person that is allowed to vote on behalf of the population of a particular state.
So in other words, what you're saying is if California has 55.
Exactly.
So we have 55 electoral votes that we have out of the 538.
Right.
And
if we win, yeah. So whatever side
whoever
wins that vote in California would get that 55.
Correct.
Exactly.
No, I wasn't, just.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay. So the number equals the total voting membership. Okay, guys. So this number 538 that you guys hear about, you're watching the news every election, they go 270, 270, 270. Let me break that down. So where they get the 538 from, this number equals the total voting membership of the U.S. Congress. Let me break it down for you. There's 435 representatives. There's 3 electors just from D.C., and there's 100 senators, right? So the winner of the presidency gets over half of the 538, which is why you always hear the first one that gets to 270 wins. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only, if you get to 270, that's it. The other person obviously has what? 268. And they don't win. You need 270 to win the presidency, just over half of the 538. You know what I'm saying?